Okay, and we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope everyone has had a very good Friday. Let's get into it. So, big news coming out over the last 24 hours or so, and really we're starting to get the confirmation that we've been waiting for a very long time, and that is that this takeover is finally close to being complete. It is finally getting to that time where we actually will have a change in ownership, a different approach at Manchester United. Rajat is in the comments. Good to see you, man. Hope all is good. Let me just double check something as well. I want to make sure my thumbnail is up for this. Don't know why I'm seeing like the title banner. But yeah, guys, welcome back to the channel. And look, I have to say it's about time we have this kind of progress. And look, I know a lot of you guys, myself included, have always had doubts over the Ratcliffe bid. I think there's a lot of questions that do need answered in terms of what happens with the Glazer ownership. Is there a guaranteed pathway to Ratcliffe having full control over the club? Is there going to be another is it going to be another Glazer type ownership with Ratcliffe? What's going to happen? That's what we've been asking ourselves for a very long time, and I think we're going to get the answers to those questions certainly very soon, in my opinion. I would expect some sort of official announcement to come next week, probably. I would expect there to be a kind of guideline, a plan put out there by the likes of Ratcliffe, by whoever comes in as CEOs, directors of football, all that good stuff that we did to look forward to. But I do definitely think that whilst this might not be the takeover that we wanted, it's certainly the takeover we got, and it might be the only route towards Manchester United being a serious club again, and that's unfortunate. I mean, like, I wanted to see some big I wanted to see a big takeover. I wanted to see Glazers gone 100%. It was always full seal or nothing. And Moosey's in the comments, bro. It's good to see you, man. Thank you very much for hopping on in here as well. Much appreciated. But certainly, it's an interesting time. And Ratcliffe seems to be getting the ball going really quickly. He seems to be going for these immediate changes, especially in the structure, in the hierarchy. And that's kind of where he's looking first. I completely understand it as well. I've been saying this for a while. There's no real sense in Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in and saying to Richard Arnold, here's £1 billion, go spend it. Here, John Murdo, go buy these players as well. What else we got in the comments? Rajat saying get Paul Mitchell in, director of football. Stephanie's in there as well. It's good to have everybody here on a Friday night as well. Look, the last night we were together, it was not a good one on Wednesday, but hopefully tomorrow's going to be a better one. So we'll be watch along tomorrow as well, of course, for Luton Town. So that's what we're asking on the poll as well. What do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? Will it be a win, a draw, a loss? Most people going for a win, and I know the form hasn't been good, but I think we have to beat Luton at home. Surely that has to be the most given 3 points that we possibly could have. Like, if we can't beat Luton at home, I genuinely don't know what is going on with this team. But yeah, guys, get those thoughts coming in down below. And look, the Ratcliffe revolution, it's definitely coming. We have Romano on here literally 4 seconds ago saying that there will be big changes coming at Manchester United. And I think one thing I'm very happy about is Richard Arnold going. Now, look, if anyone's been watching Muppeteers, really good information, and something that they had put out on the channel was that Richard Arnold was actually one of the figures behind the scenes who really hasn't got on with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's also someone who really did hold up the overall takeover. It was Richard Arnold who shot down some earlier proposals for higher ownership by Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the first place, who the Glazers apparently always were preferring to go with. So I think that's an interesting one. Moosey says, do I trust these players? Or do you think the coach is not trustworthy? I think that's an interesting question. I think it's very easy to get swept up in the emotion of it and say these players are downing tools. I think they do genuinely have fight. I think some of them do, at least. I think there's big issues with some players. I think there's definitely something going on with Rafael Varane. There's definitely something with Casemiro. Antony doesn't look right. Rashford, there's something going on there. Has to be. And Sancho, obviously, as we know, but I would say, yeah, some players are definitely committed and some people are definitely on board. I think we can see that in the players that he's picking. I think that's why McTominay is playing. I think that's why we're seeing Bruno, the likes of Amrabat in there, Eriksen, Harry Maguire, people who are genuinely fighting for the positions. Have I lost? Have I just froze? Or no, I haven't. I haven't. Sorry. It's just I always have it up on my iPad in front of me so I can watch out. It helps when I look out for lags and stuff as well, so I don't sit with my head completely off to the left. So it just froze for a second there, but it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, look, I think it's an interesting question there, Moosey. I trust the manager to have the right intentions. I trust the manager if given time to turn things around. But I'm kind of like he's sort of going about it in the wrong way at the short term, and I think that might be an issue. I think he's got to look more long term as well. Obviously, there's always the pressure to come in and immediately get results, but I think he's probably in a space now where he is pretty safe, because I don't think Radcliffe is going to walk in day one and sack the manager. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll wait. They'll wait until they get this guy Jean-Claude Blanc in as CEO. They'll wait until they get Paul Mitchell in, director of football, change the structure a bit and do the initial groundwork that they want to do. So I think Ten Hag probably has some credit left in the bank, and I think he can try to go for a better style of football that's probably going to get more out of these players. Because I'm telling you guys now, when we're playing long ball to Garnacho up front and trying to get Rashford to win headers as well, it's just not happening. Look, Højlund can hold the ball up, but I mean, you're asking a lot of Garnacho or Bruno Fernandes going alongside centre backs to try to win headers. Like, I think we just got to be smarter with it. We got players who can play really good football. We know they can, so we got to play to those strengths as well. So I think, yeah, I trust the manager to have the right intentions. I think he can turn it around if given the length of time needed, perhaps. But I do also think that certainly results do have to pick up as well. Yeah, that was a really long answer to your question there, Missy. Rashad said New Zidane and Messi interview out. Watch it. No, I haven't seen it, so I'll definitely be watching that afterwards as well. Stephanie says nearly clean sheet to guarantee 3 points. Yeah, look, I'm worried. Like, I can't lie. Whenever I look at Adeyemi and then I'm looking at Victor Lindelof likely to start in tomorrow's match, that kind of scares me as well. That gives me some fear going into this one. I don't like the thought of a big, strong, physical striker really dominant in the air, pacey as well, just bullying Victor Lindelof. Like, that's something that concerns me. So we have to watch out for that. We have to be good tomorrow's match. And I think, look, honestly, if we score early, if we have the same approach that we did against Copenhagen, go at them early, get those early goals in, we will win this match fairly comfortably, in my opinion. So I think, yeah, definitely keep a clean sheet. I think that will be pretty safe. But I did see some records, and records always scare me. When I see that Manchester United have not, they've won every single match at home against Luton Town since the year 1899. So what's that? 124 years. Every time we played Luton at Old Trafford, we have beat them. When I see records like that in the current form that we're in, I'm just like, it's gonna happen, isn't it? But no, I'm gonna be safe with it. I think we're gonna win. I'm gonna go for 2-0 tomorrow. I think Højlund gets the first Premier League goal. I think Bruno Fernandes gets one, and that's probably our lot. And then we go into the international break, and maybe we need it at this moment in time as well. But look, I want to go through a couple of things here. Because Romano's talking about Paul Mitchell at the minute, and this is one of the changes we expected to see. I don't think anyone really thinks that, that John Murda is the guy to be running Sporting of Manchester United. He's just not that guy. I really can't remember what John Murda was doing before he came to Manchester United. I think he was at Everton, perhaps as like a deputy director of football or something. It's very questionable. The credentials there certainly does scream of that. But look, I got that into this chat as well. So Paul Mitchell favoured to become sporting director at Manchester United, fully aware of the situation as well. Rajat says Radcliffe, Jean-Claude and Paul Mitchell look serious. Yeah, look, I'm excited for Jean-Claude Blanc as well. Initially he came through at Juventus, and he came through at Juventus during a really difficult time. I'm sure a lot of you remember, it probably was about 20 years ago or so. obviously the big match fixing scandal in Serie A, and Juventus ended up relegated because of it. Jean-Claude Blanc was a guy who came in to Juventus in the immediate aftermath, and initially he worked towards, first and foremost, a lot of things that we need to do at Manchester United. I think that's really important, and that was fixing the wage bill. It was clearing out the older stars. He had to go and get a stadium redeveloped, a stadium rebuilt as well. Had to bring the team from in the mud to raising it up as well, and completely bring in a long-term strategy at Juventus. And that's something that he did really well. And we've seen the fruits of this really start to pay off around about 2008, 2009. It was kind of when Conte initially came to Juventus as a manager. And what Juventus had done was that they had a really smart business model where they were looking primarily at younger players. And in Serie A, you don't really see a lot of that. Certainly not at the time. You would have seen a lot of teams go for kind of short-sighted signings, maybe 2 or 3 years max out of them. But Juventus built a team that went on and competed for 10 years. Then after that, he went on to PSG, and where PSG is where he really cut his teeth. And I think he can do a lot with United. I think this is exciting. So at PSG, he worked on making that a global brand. Obviously, they had the money. They had the likes of Ibrahimovic coming to the club. But really, it was Jean-Claude Blanc. I think he was like head of marketing and the development of all that as well. I think that was part of his role. And as well as that, it was tied into general football stuff as well. But he got the Jordan sponsorship for their kit. That was one thing he did. And he kind of tried to grow their branding as well. And I think that's maybe not a bad thing to have at the minute at Manchester United. But I think they're genuinely, you're looking at two guys there in Mitchell and in Blanc who know what they're doing, very qualified in their job roles. And compare that to what we have with John Murda, who I think was Deputy Director of Football at Everton, and Richard Arnold, who was Ed Woodward's best friend. It's different. It's a different level altogether. Completely different. Born is down there. Hello. Is it true there will be a protest tomorrow? Yes, there will be. Indeed, there will be a watch along tomorrow as well, Stephanie. But there's a protest tomorrow, I believe. It starts at around about 2 o'clock, and I think it'll run for 60 minutes or so up until kickoff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's really going to achieve. I feel like the protests don't get a lot of airtime at the minute, and I feel like it will get less airtime with it being a 3 o'clock kickoff as well. I don't think we're going to see a lot of coverage on it, honestly, but I mean, I would love it if it did. I would absolutely love it if it did, and I hope and wish them all the best, certainly, with their protest tomorrow. Rajat says, no, 58 don't do anything. Yeah, look, it's one of those. It's like, ultimately what they do, it doesn't really affect what goes on because the Glazer family don't really care. Like, they don't really care if they're marching around in the rain outside of Old Trafford. They just turn the TV off. They don't look at it. They don't really care. So that's definitely something that plays into it as well. It's interesting though. It will be something to watch out for. It probably will be the last protest under full Glazer ownership. Now, apparently they're still going to protest, and Glazers out will always be a thing until they're actually fully gone from the club. I get that. I understand that completely. Really do. But it's interesting. It is interesting to think about what is going to happen in the long term. And I think this Ratcliffe stuff it's looking good. It's kind of what maybe we need at the club, but I don't know if it's really it's probably not going to change things right away. I think that's maybe going to be something that is going to be thrown against him. Certainly, I think a lot of people expected the Qataris, if they did win, to come in and throw a lot of money around by a lot of players initially, and hope that it worked. It looks like Ratcliffe's going for a longer term approach. It looks like he's going for a long play on this one, bringing in people to fundamentally alter the structure first. I guess we'll find out. Look, I completely get that. He probably doesn't want to see the amount of money it's going to take for this club to be successful again, going to the same guys who have got us into this mess in the first place. I think that is probably what he's thinking, and it does make a lot of sense as well. It genuinely does. So yeah, look, moving on, and having a quick look at Erik Ten Hag today. So obviously a man who is under a lot of pressure at the moment. We touched on it briefly. I mean, results, I think we played 15 matches and we've won 7, lost 8. I think that's the record this season. I mean, it is diabolical no matter how we look at it or dress it up as well. Big ups for the likes as well, guys. I'm not quite sure what's going on with YouTube at the minute, but I'm gonna have to get onto them as well to try fix something up, because it's been like this for a couple of months. They just don't show the videos to the audience or to subs as well, so unless you have like notifications on, it probably won't show at all. Rajat says, would I like to see Camavinga or Valverde come to United? Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Camavinga. I think that genuinely one of our biggest mistakes we've made in a long, long time. Alice channel off? I haven't seen. Oh, is that Alex? Is that Alice Talks Football, Rajat? Is it? Yeah, I mean, I would watch her sometimes. Stephanie says 8 wins, 9 losses. That was it. 8 wins, 9 losses. Apologies for that. And Bourne says, I don't understand people who see any positives in Sir Jim whatsoever. Kept the Glazers and stopped the full sale. He is an enemy of the club, and that is all. I mean, look, 1.1k light. I don't know what's going on, because like I'm looking at my video as well and it's not showing the thumbnail for me, which is really weird, and it just says like it's just my cover photo. So like I'm assuming that's why things are a wee bit weird on it as well. But yeah, look, the thing is with Ratcliffe, he basically just made the plays he could, but it is starting to come out that certain members of the board actually had a lot to do with voting against it. I believe Muppeteers had said something along the lines of that what you will see and what you get on the board at the minute is that Richard Arnold has been voting against things. Apparently Arnold was very against the Radcliffe takeover in the first place, and apparently that is something that's an issue. Rajat says Alice Talk Football channel off, never lets me comment. Oh, her comments off. Right. I got you. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to raise it to YouTube help, because genuinely, like, I got the numbers up here. So like on YouTube, there's 2 things. You have impressions, which is the amount of people who see your video, and then you have click-through rate, which is how many people actually click on the video. I mean, at the minute, it's telling me I've got 100 impressions, and what is it? 45 views. So that would be 45% people clicking on it. But then when I look at the actual number, it says that it's 1.9%, which kind of messes things about. So that's not good. I don't think their math is quite right on that there one. But yeah, going to go on to Erik Ten Hag here as well. Certainly finding himself under a lot of pressure at the moment. And in his press conference today, he was talking a lot about Marcus Rashford. Rashford bringing in a lot of a lot of talk as well. Stefan says 12 likes, 9 watching as well. Yeah, look, I don't know. I think YouTube have made some changes to the overall platform as well, so it might be teething problems, but it has been like this for a couple of months as well. So I'll probably just have to ask them about it at some point. So yeah, look, Ten Hag talking Rashford. He says he's not happy. We are not happy. He's got high expectations for himself, and at the minute he's not in his best form. He will be back. I think yeah, look, I think Rashford will eventually turn it around, because he normally does. My concern is I don't know why he's constantly playing him as well. Very few players really succeed whenever they're played through bad form over and over and over again, unless they have elite level confidence, unless they are genuinely so confident in their ability. And Rashford is definitely a confidence player, so I don't quite understand it. I guess maybe from Ten Hag's point of view, he's saying if I drop him, that's going to hit the confidence even more. But I'm not 100% sure. One of the only players I can really remember who you always had to just play him through a bad spell or a dry spell was probably Wayne Rooney. Was one of the few that I really remember that actually working for. But I can't. I just cannot get behind this idea. I think we've got to get Garnacho involved as well at some point. Missy is down there. Is there still a chance Qatar will come in, or is it done and dusted? No, I think it's done and dusted there, Missy. I think that ship has sailed. And look, it's on one hand, yes, it's unfortunate because I know a lot of people wanted Qatari ownership. I know a lot of people were looking at it and saying we can't have the Glazer family still here. We need a full sale only. And I completely get and understand that. I really, really do. My big thing with it is if they had offered more money, they probably would have got it in the end. But it had always been complicated, and there's definitely more than meets the eye as well about that. Um, do I know who's liked the videos? No, I don't get who's liked the videos either, Stephanie. I get to see the comments. Obviously, I would get the occasional thing if somebody shares something as well that would pop up, but that's pretty much it as well. But yeah, look, it's an interesting comment as well there as well, Stephanie. Rashford worried about his brother being arrested. Obviously, that was, I think that came out on Wednesday night. Now, look, it's genuinely gutter. It is absolute gutter journalism. Yes, his brother was arrested for domestic violence. That was what happened. But he was actually arrested on the 20th of October, and they had purposely waited for United to lose a match. And as soon as Rashford got this red card, that his name would be in the headlines, all of a sudden this came out. And they'd been sitting on it for 2 or 3 weeks at this point. Genuinely, it is. It's proper disgusting, man. It really is. It is just UK journalism in a nutshell. You will get that. I'm not even sure who it was. I mean, it could have been the Sun, but something tells me it might have been like Daily Mail or Telegraph as well. I really can't say I'm surprised though. Like, I think it was actually there was actually a good quote. I did see it earlier on, and it was from a guy he used to be on. I don't know if you guys remember. I think they called it the Saturday supplement or like the Sunday supplement or something. It was basically a load of journalists would come on to Sky Sports News, and they would basically sit and talk about all the rumors and stuff and everything that came up. And there was one guy in particular. He was quite an old journalist at this point. I think he might be retired as well. Martin Samuels, and he had basically said that people always put Manchester United on the story. You will never go hungry if you put and fill your website with Manchester United. You will never go hungry if you fill your newspaper with Manchester United stories. And it's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. Like some of the stuff we're seeing, I'm seeing Rasmus Højlund being taken out of context. He had said that we played well in the first 20 minutes. We were 2-0 up. And that has been spun into Rasmus Højlund saying that we could only play well for 20 minutes, and the rest of the match we couldn't play well. It's so annoying, guys. It really is. Let me see. Rajat said Cassie too. He needs 2 or 3 games maybe to get back into playing 8 or 10. Yeah, the thing is, that Casemiro now he is injured, so he's gonna be out until I think Ten Hag said around about Christmas kind of time. So he's going to be out for a long time. It seems to be a bad injury. And look, with the talk of Saudi Arabia coming in for him at some point, be it from January or be that in the summer, we might not see a lot of Casemiro. But yeah, look, talking about 9 defeats this season, Ten Hag had said it is about the end result. We have to win every match, so we are very disappointed. And finally, it's all about the result on the scoreline. It's always about the process and thinking about it and managing the process, which is what I focus on. I think he's got interesting ideas. Erik Ten Hag, he had said, talking about the player's character, I think we've proved we can come back from setbacks against Fulham and Brentford, but I don't know. It's difficult to say. The one thing that I want to talk about, and I'm really not buying it either, I'm really not believing this whatsoever, is about Mason Mount. He had said Mason Mount has had some starts and also recently against Newcastle last week, but there was always reasons sometimes, like the injury at the start of the season or other players doing well, and then you have to wait for your time to play. I don't know. Like I can't name players who've been playing overly well. I really am struggling to think of players in the midfield areas who've had brilliant matches this season. I just don't think it's happened. Jarl is in the comments. It's good to see you. Rajat says would be nice to see Pedro Neto and a centre back. Yeah, look, the expectations we bring in one centre back. I think they might look at two as well. I think there was a list published of some targets who we would be looking at. Tobedo, of course, one. Jared Brantwaite from Everton was another one. I think Antonio Silva might have been one, and possibly it was Ignacio from Sporting Lisbon. If we're talking wingers, I had seen that Pedro Neto was someone who they were after. I believe Marcus Edwards, again from Sporting, was being talked about, and so was I think it might have been Yermi Pino as well. It's an interesting one because a lot of those players, they're not very similar, and if we were looking at a lot of similar type players, I would understand it, but there's a big difference in the likes of Marcus Edwards compared to a Pedro Neto, to a Pino. These are all really different type players, so I'm not quite sure what the common theme is that we're going for here. So it will be interesting to see what we do. Obviously, we do get linked for players who we might not be in for, but obviously, we also look at a lot of players, as you should. You should be scouting plenty of players, and that's something we should be doing at United. And really and honestly, I don't know what the scouts have been seeing for the last 10 years, and a lot of the players we've signed, I seriously don't. Let me see as well. What have we got from Rosette? Erling brought Holland. Is there something else one in there? No, we're not. We're up to 13 likes as well. And let me check the poll. I think we had 75% going for the win, 25% going for the loss. Some pessimistic people out there. I mean, if we can't beat Luton tomorrow at home, if we can't beat Luton and we failed to beat Luton at home for the first time in 124 years, I think genuinely we should just fold the club at that point. Jarl is saying, sometimes I want to shake the dude, putting up clickbait titles as United stand. I cannot wait until tomorrow and watch us cruise to victory. And Stephanie says, Ahmad close to return, and why is Pellistri not getting game time? I think Amad Diallo is back in training now. He's back on grass, as we said, but he is definitely back in training and working on the grass, working with the rest of the team now. I don't think we'll see him this side of the internationals. Of course, tomorrow is the last match before a 2-week international break. So I think Ahmad will be ready to go for that kind of wintertime frenzy of matches that we will have. Kobe Manu probably ready for that as well. There was talk about perhaps Luke Shaw could be back, which mightn't be a bad idea. I think in terms of what Jarl's saying, I mean, I'll not say too much about United Sound. Like, obviously, those guys get like 100,000 viewers a video. They've been doing this a lot longer than me, but what I can say is, like, some of it is genuinely ridiculous and made up that they do put up there. And yeah, look, I know I'm nowhere near the size, but I mean, I don't know. I just wouldn't really want to put out clickbait stuff and like fake reactions and stuff just to get more people watching my stuff. Like, I really wouldn't be up for that. Let's see. Jarl is looking pizza as well. Look, if we win tomorrow, I'll be on the pizza for sure. Let's see. Rashad said Ten Hag doesn't realize Ahmad and Pellistri can't play right wing, but why doesn't he use the whole squad? I don't know. I think sometimes squad management is really poor, but I think we might see a little bit of Facundo Pellistri tomorrow. It will be interesting. I think if he comes on, he'll be off the bench. I think there's two possible options we could go for. We could play the exact same forward line that we did against Copenhagen. I think Ten Hag might look to do that. I have a sneaky suspicion that's maybe what he's going to do, because that was probably, for the first 30 minutes or so, right up until the red card, the best performance we've had all season by a landslide. So clear of anything else we've done this year. So I think absolutely we probably will play that same team. So Pellistri, he might be one of the subs come off the bench. I wouldn't mind seeing some changes in there, especially in that midfield. I think midfield somewhere I really want to see us switch it up. I don't think we need Scott McTominay for this match. Scott McTominay is a player who thrives in the chaos in and around the penalty box, and he might get you a goal, but I don't think he's the answer. So yeah, look, if I'm picking a team for tomorrow, look, it's going to be Onana. It'll probably be Wan-Bissaka. I would go Maguire and Lindelof. Drop Delo. I think Delo has been really poor this season, and I think Stephanie's absolutely right. Wan-Bissaka, much better player. And then if we're looking at midfield, I would probably go for Amrabat, Eriksen, Bruno, and then maybe a forward line of Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford. And let's see what we can do with that. I wouldn't mind seeing Mount start. I think would be a good game for him. And look, I want to see some goals tomorrow. I want to see United genuinely go out and attack like we did against Copenhagen at the weekend. Because look, Luton Town will be difficult to break down, but we can definitely score against them. Absolutely, we can. We just got to watch out for the counter, and we got to watch out for Adeyemi going 1v1 against Victor Lindelof. That's genuinely terrifying me at this minute in time. I mean, this is a guy. I mean, we've seen Van Dijk and Konate struggling to contain him at times with his raw physicality. I mean, if that goes up against Victor Lindelof, that's my concerns. Because obviously, I don't think Varane's going to play. I don't think Evans is going to be fit. So that's my concern there. But I will say it, and look, he might not have been a particularly glamorous signing over the summer, but I'm glad we brought Johnny Evans in, because I think where would we have been without him? We probably would have been playing McTominay at centre back. I mean, I really don't know anymore, guys. Any more thoughts? Make sure to get them in down below. Let me have a look and see some of the latest stuff coming out tonight. I can see some updates are popping up here. Let me have a quick check on that one. I think one thing I want to see tomorrow is genuinely, guys, I do not want to see a VAR call ruining us as well. I really don't want to see this. Am I getting the Papa John pizza? See, that's the thing, man. There really isn't Papa John pizza deliveries near me either. Papa John's mostly in Ireland anyway, like just pizza you get in a freezer or something. I mean, I don't know. I might go to Domino's tomorrow. Maybe we could look at that. Rosacco's Real Club will get Ignacio or Silva. Yeah, I mean, look, my first choice is probably Usman Diamond, and I think it was someone on the channel here actually recommended Diamond at one point. I would absolutely think that is a player we should be looking at. Yeah, I mean, if we can get both, ideal. That's perfect. I mean, Romano has said we might look at 2 centre backs. I think Tabita will probably be one, because I think that deal can get done pretty easily. And then it depends who else we go for. Do we go for like a Nacho on the left? But then what happens with Lisandro Martinez? Do we go for Diamond and bring him in? Or, I mean, it's good to have options. I think we're going to see a centre back clear out, because I really think outside of Lisandro Martinez at full capacity, I don't think any of them are really going to be here next year. I think there's obviously a big issue with Raphael Varane. I think that's clearly has become a big problem, and his form in the last couple of weeks has been the worst I've ever seen from the guy at Manchester United or at Real Madrid. So I think yeah, I could definitely see him move on. I think Maguire, whilst he's battled through and been resilient, I don't think he's going to be a long-term guy either. And I think Victor Lindelof has just never been good enough. So I genuinely think we might need to bring in 2 centre backs. And I don't know, keep Johnny Evans. Brizat says, depending if we win tomorrow, but let's see. That's the one. That's the one there. But yeah, look, Romano's saying as well, United want to sign a central defender, maybe 2. They're looking at 1 in January, but it will depend on budget and the options available on the market. I think that's interesting for sure. I would expect some transfer business in January. There was talk now. I think this is probably trying to play off people's emotions and what they probably want to see, but they were talking that Sancho, Antony, Martial and Van de Beek will all be for sale in January. Harry Maguire might be for sale as well. It does kind of feel like they've had a look at some of the more unpopular players who we don't think are good enough, and have just said, yep, they're for sale, they're for sale, they're for sale. I mean, Ratcliffe and his guys who are going to be running the show now, they have not even got sitting at their desks yet. It isn't official yet. They haven't set up the office plans yet. So I can't see too much happening immediately. I think it might be a quiet January window unless we have pre-lined up deals to sell the likes of Sancho. etc. That's maybe the only business I can really say. But I really don't know who's going to buy Sancho either. I think for that kind of money, for those kind of wages, very limited pool of options out there. Unless he's going to go to Saudi, unless he's going to go to, like, I don't know, like a Chelsea. Like, I mean, would they even bother? I mean, they've got Cole Palmer, and he genuinely seems to be playing at a higher level than Sancho. So that's an interesting one. What's going to happen there? Very limited options into who we can ship him out to. Rosette says Ignacio, Tobito, and Lindelof. Oh man, I'm not having Lindelof. I'm just never having it. I'm never doing it. I just, nah, man. I just can't rate him. I'm sorry, but I just can't. I think he's just weak physically. I think he's slow. I think he backs out of tackles. He isn't a top level progressor of the ball. I know he's got a good passing accuracy, but it's normally like 5 or 6 yard passes sideways. I think Lindelof, really weak player. I personally wouldn't have him at the club beyond this season. I really wouldn't. But yeah, look, I mean, I like Ignacio, I like Tobito. I mean, I think you could go, if you really wanted to play a back three, and play Lisandro Martinez right in the middle, because Ignacio and Tobito are very good defenders in terms of defending the wide areas. What you're kind of getting with Lisandro Martinez there is he would be the orchestrator, yes, but it gives him the best position to step into the midfield, and that's something he's really good at. And he would kind of be playing almost like a defensive kind of midfielder. I think there's a guy in Italy as well we're looking at the minute, certainly a name to watch out for. I think he's playing for Atlanta. I think it's is it Slovenia, is it? Hold on, let me just pull him up here, because certainly looks a real player. David is down there. That's it. We've let the scrub rat Chelsea get this far. Him and Glazers will not destroy United. Rajat said, isn't really a nice man. Maguire's better passing. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think he genuinely does melt under heat. Look, I think everyone gets their opinion absolutely with Ratcliffe. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. I think very unhappy with the overall deal. I mean, I remember when it was announced, I just wasn't happy. Like, I just could not get behind a minority investment. It's something I wanted to avoid the entire time. I know I really couldn't get behind it, but I do like some of the plans they're putting in place. Some of the people they're looking to bring in, I think, will be really good and really positive. The name I was thinking of as well is Giorgio Scalvini from Atalanta. Apologies for that there one, for anyone who might be Italian in the chat, but he is another player United are looking at, apparently. So I kind of like the thinking. He's probably more of a defensive midfielder, and I think it's really interesting. First and foremost, they're saying that there's an expectation that Casemiro will leave the club, and there's also an expectation that we will let Sofian Amrabat go back to Fiorentina. So we're going to find ourselves next summer needing another defensive midfielder, at least one. So I don't know what's going to happen there in that case. Maybe someone like a Scalvini could be the option. Maybe another player who we have been linked to today, and I'm not sure if anybody watches much Brazilian football, is Andrea from Fluminense. Certainly a really good looking player. Not really defensive midfielder, to be fair. Not really a defensive midfielder. Definitely somebody who gets in the ball deep, more like a deep progressor. Who else have we got down below? Gani is down there. Hope all is good with you, Gani. Stefan, why do you think Man Utd is not playing first team? Tomorrow's match is when we should see players like him and a new goalkeeper. Ten Hag is not playing the youth as I expect. I would like to see more youth involvement for sure, absolutely. I would agree with that point. I think we're definitely trying to ease Kobbie Mainoo back into the team. We have to remember, before 2 weeks ago, he hadn't played since early July, so that's definitely a long layout for him. So we're trying to build him up to speed. I get putting him in with the under-19s, with the under-21s, then back with the under-19s again. I understand that. But I wouldn't mind seeing some of him tomorrow. I think if he's on the bench, put him on for 20 minutes, I think we'll see what he's made of. Absolutely. I think there's other options he could have played who are fit. Hanton Aaron, perhaps an example. Played well in pre-season. Dan Gore, a good player. maybe see some more of Hannibal, but I think Hannibal has to control the natural aggression in his game as well, certainly before he's going to be considered a first team player at the club, because sometimes he does look like a walking red card. And look, it's just the way he plays the game. He is aggressive, and when most players don't care about whether they win, lose, or draw, I mean, I guess you want that on the pitch sometimes. I completely would get that as well. Rajat says, how about Yao Neves, 19-year-old, or Yao Polina, someone who can play sixth role, like Casemiro, and be good at progressive play up the pitch? I mean, yeah, look, Polina's definitely a very good destroyer. I do think you would probably need somebody alongside him to be a real progressor if we're going to play this attacking number 8 type system. I think, look, the best example of what we probably need is like Rodri. I think that is kind of the mold that we need. Someone who can do all the defensive work and someone who can do all the tempo deciding work as well. He is such a top level player. I think Declan Rice, yeah, he'll get there eventually as well. But certainly, I think Neves is an interesting shot as well. Big ups on the 16 likes as well, guys. Thanks very much. Obviously, things haven't been going smoothly for a while on the channel, but I'm gonna have a fight with YouTube once I get up, because they're just messing the numbers up. What have we got? 82 views and 500 impressions, and it's telling me my click-through rate is 2%. I mean, this is why it's messing about. It is not 2% of 500. I don't know why it does this sometimes. But yeah, look, big ups to everyone. Luman's in the comments. It's good to see Luman as well. Good to have you, man. And look, honestly, I think tomorrow's going to be an interesting match. I think it's one of those matches we have to go out, we have to just win. There's the expectation there. I think genuinely, no matter what happens, we cannot afford to drop points tomorrow. We have to beat them. Absolutely have to beat them as well tomorrow. And we're going to find out what this team's really made of. Look, it's genuinely feels like it does genuinely feel like this team have struggled in adversity, and that we have been on a rotten run for a long time. But if we can win tomorrow, that would be interesting, because it puts us on, I believe, 5 or 6 wins out of the last 8 matches, which would show a slight recovery in form. Maybe not brilliant, but certainly something. Stephanie says, Leach's return will be like a new signing, cannot come soon enough. Absolutely, I would say that 100%, Stephanie. Between Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw coming back, it cannot happen quick enough. I think we're so predictable playing out of the back without those 2 players, and without Luke Shaw, we don't have anyone who's going to carry the ball up the pitch in the way we need to, and it makes everything very static. And we need that dynamism. We also need Lisandro Martinez back in there as well. Bourne says, I agree at the minute. Ten Hag doesn't seem like he has a plan B. Why he doesn't change formation to fit players. Fit players is beyond me. Even Mourinho's worst season, the club wasn't playing this bad. I mean, yeah, look, we've kind of floated to these horrendous performances a lot of the time. When Mourinho got sacked, it was absolutely the football was diabolical. When Ole got sacked, it was diabolical, and it's happening again now. It's so frustrating, because genuinely the players seem to forget how to play football, and they make mistakes that you just would not see. So you have to think, as much as we question the quality of some of these players, a lot of it has to be mental. It has to be some kind of mental game there. It has to be some sort of mental block on these players, that when things begin to go wrong, they really unravel. And I just don't get it, because take Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as one potential example of this. When we were with Ole, we had like the most comeback wins in the Premier League one year, and that was right before he got sacked. And I just don't understand it, because we had a lot of adversity time and time again the season before, and we always bounced back. And then all of a sudden, like, we go a goal down to Watford and we lose 4-1 at Vicarage Road. We go and get smashed up by City. We let one goal in from Liverpool at Old Trafford and we lose 5-0. Like, it's just, I don't know, these players just seem to have a mental block sometimes, that they can't sustain this sort of pressure, that they cannot have any sort of sustained success at the club. And until that changes, I don't see a lot changing. We're always going to be a team that's going to be um, one step forward, two steps back, and just be stuck in that cycle over and over and over again. What have we got as well down below? Just to go back to what Bourne was saying as well. When we're talking about the players, I think the players have to do a lot more. Look, Copenhagen midweek, absolute disaster. But when watching that match, look, there was three shocking calls actually go against us. First and foremost, we had the offside. The offside from for their first goal never should have stood, because we have been penalised 2 or 3 times this season for that exact same goal and had it took off us, but it happened against us and it was given. The Rashford red card, never really a red card. Maguire handball, he was holding Maguire's arm in place and it bounced from his knee onto the arm, and it was, I don't know, like a 7 or 8 inch flight path. That was it. And then moving on, look, the third and fourth goal, that's my big problem. So that shows the mental weakness in this team, because just the week before, exactly 7 days before, Diogo Dalot was done in by Miguel Almiron at Old Trafford, running on the outside of him. He had no idea that there was a player on the outside of him. 7 days later, it's not the same example because this is from a set piece, but it's put into the same area. And the exact same scenario happens where Diogo Dalot does not know that there's a player on the outside of him about to burst past him and get a goal. Fourth goal, that's just a comedy of errors. Maguire passed it to Varane. Varane can't control it and just kicks it back to Copenhagen. It looks like the ball's gone out and then they score. That is just shocking defending. Like, it's so frustrating. It really is. Rajat says we get smashed everywhere we go. And Bourne says some pages like Paddock need to be closed. They talk BS all the time. Look, I think a lot of people do. YouTube is a very, very, very competitive space, and there's a lot of channels out there. And whenever you're actually looking at the likes of Paddock or you're looking at United Stand, those guys may as well be professional production companies. The amount of content they can pump out because they have a panel and they have studios and they have all this stuff. It is ridiculous. Literally, if I was to take my camera off, you'll just see I'm sitting in my bedroom with a light behind me. I've got some LED strips. I got a mic and a couple of soundproof panels. And that's literally it. I'm keeping my laptop from overheating with a fan. That's the kind of levels that we're talking about here at the minute. But maybe someday we can genuinely get something of a nice studio and grow the channel some more as well. Let me see. Luman is saying, what happened against Copenhagen happened, but let's accept we're not sustainable. Just scrapping? Absolutely. It's not sustainable. It's the opposite of sustainable. It just looks like we're waiting to get caught out every time, and hopefully tomorrow won't be that match as well. Rajat says United weak with mentality. Every time we go 2 goals down, heads dropping, it leads to 5-0. Absolutely, Rajat. Very rarely do we bounce back. Let me see who else is down here. Gani said, I hope the new owners do not throw money everywhere for players like Chelsea. We need players that suit United style, not necessarily the manager's favourite. Absolutely. Look, that is one thing I will say about Man United. Erik Ten Hag has made a lot of mistakes, but we have enabled the mistakes. It was actually a Dutch reporter had literally said it right before I went on, because I actually was reading it and just saying, yeah, that's probably true. And they said if Ajax had asked for £250 million for Antony last season, Ten Hag probably would have paid it. He probably would have demanded it was paid. And it's kind of hard to disagree with. It really, really is. Because I genuinely think we would have paid any price for Antony. And a proper scouting team would have said, hold on, Eric, this guy's really not that good. Yeah, he might have been good for you at Ajax, but it's a completely different league. Let me see. Zoe is saying Tahith Chung to score against Man United. I hope not. Rashad said, hey, where was Enzo before he went to Benfica? Let me see. Where was Enzo? I'm going to take a stab and say that Enzo Fernandez was at River Plate. And I think Julian Alvarez was there as well. So I will Google it. I will Google it because I want to see if I got that right. Um, Let me see. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was at River Plate. Pretty sure. Stephanie says, "You're great, but sorry, you're real, but don't change. Just get bigger." No, I don't want to change either. I think that's one of the things. It was River Plate. I was right. I was right. Um, no, it's kind of like one of my favorite channels to watch is probably People's TV, and it's because Sam genuinely just is himself. Anyway, it's not like fake. It's not like bragged up. He doesn't have ex footballers on, or he doesn't have uh, people saying stupid shit just to get a click. Like that's kind of the stuff I want to do. And look, I will try to grow it as well. So first and foremost, got to fight with YouTube because they're just not, they're just doing me over at the minute. But I am thinking about getting some more people on. I think I did um to a couple of guys who are down in the comments. So if you would be interested in something like that, the Discord link is in the bio. If you guys want to pop up in there and message me, would love to do like a kind of, I don't know, it's almost like stealing like United fans' idea. Sorry, United fans' idea, but I guess this kind of Talksport did it as well. Like kind of having you guys come on as well and getting your thoughts out there. I think that might be entertaining. Um, Liman says teach Rajat how to Google. It was River Plate. It was River Plate though. I got that one right. I'm happy with that. I was like, I was kind of getting Enzo Fernandez, and I think it's Almada mixed up because of like, did Enzo come from MLS? But no, I got that one right. I got that one right. Um, but yeah, look, it's gonna be an interesting one tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully United don't ruin the weekend for us. We know they have every ability to do so. Let me see. Was there something going in there? Did Leman, did you mention me in a comment earlier? I might have missed it. I don't know. Oh, you did. If Ten Hag brings our club back to the top, myself, Rajat, and Stephanie will super chat 1,000. There we go. There we go. Leman is saying that £1,000 super chat is coming in if Ten Hag wins a league title at Man United. I hope you don't mind my banters. No, I don't mind at all, Leman. Absolutely not, man. Far away. Zoe said we sacrificed Tate Chong for Ahmad Garnacho Alanga. Give it 2 seasons, and Chong will be an established Premier League player. I mean, look, Chong had potential at one point, but I'm not having Tate Chong is ever going to be a top player. I'm sorry on that one. I am sorry on that one. It's not often that I disagree and put my foot down things, but I'm not having Tate Chong would have been a top level player. Can he be an established Premier League player? Yeah, he probably can, but I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to be good enough for our team long term. I'm just not having that one. I don't know. I don't know. He did play one game at left back and was really good in it. Maybe that was going to be his role. I don't know. I don't know. We will find out on that one, and it will be interesting to watch him back at Old Trafford tomorrow. Ted and Mengi, of course, back at Old Trafford as well tomorrow. So some familiar faces. Hopefully, it's going to be a familiar result because we haven't failed to beat Luton Town at home since 1899, I believe. So we've got 124 years of history on our side. Let's hope we don't blow that. The way we're playing at the minute, though, we are very, very much capable of doing just that. All right, guys, I'm going to leave the stream here because I have to head to the gym now as well, unfortunately. So I'll get that done, and we'll be back on tomorrow for the watch-along for Luton Town. So make sure to join me then if you guys are free tomorrow afternoon. If not, enjoy your Saturday. Let's hope United win. And yeah, guys, have a good one. Thanks so much for watching.